we're starting to wrap things up here in Woodmead, just north of Johannesburg, where the latest in a series of conversations are taking place between the New Age and the SABC has been bringing this program to you. And today we've been looking at state capture, and we're getting interesting ideas of the various layers and undercurrents that go with this notion and this idea. And we've been sharing some of those thoughts with our panelists, but our guests as well here. Clyde Mervyn with the commercial communication workers.
Well, we do apologize for that audio malfunction, but in a nutshell, that was the discussion on state capture, which has dominated headlines in recent months. And so much has been coming through. The South Africa has spoken, and I'm going to read some of the tweets that South Africans have been sending us. Lihola says, if the SABC isn't captured, then Vuyo Mvoko should have been part of that panel to explain his exit from the public broadcaster. And Figo said, Hlaude Motsoeneng versus Jackson Mthembu, watch this space, Kusazo Shuba. And Khamadi says, lobbying and having power over the presidency are two different things. And Elvis Mbangula says Nxitama failed to capture the EFF and he was cast out into darkness. And Jeff Molloy says, when the inherent dangers of capitalism are being used to justify one influential family plundering treasury. And one delegate from the audience said Thuli Madonsela is selective and not a saint and sabotaged the dreams of a black majority. These are some of the tweets that have been coming through. We now go back to Peter Ndoro in Sandton. Peter.
Simpiwe, thank you very much indeed. I'm going to get comments from our guests on what you've just said in those tweets. But first, let's go to Clyde Mervyn with the Communication Workers Union and your thoughts.
Thank you very much. I think first we must ask a very pertinent question. Is Treasury captured? That's the first question we must ask. But we will also respond to it as workers. If any state is captured, who suffers the most is the working class. Because once a state is captured, first thing you have to do is that people get retrenched. Let me make this example to you. Recently, Treasury gave a 5 billion contract to Vodacom instead of Telkom. Telkom, state-owned entity, majority shares government. Where you have a crisis now, Vodacom is a foreign-owned company, as we all know, in reporting direct to British. So all investors are now rushing into Vodacom so that they can then define the British economy. Now the second question we must ask, is SABC captured? There's a question we must ask. In this context, there are factional battles in the ANC which are now contributing the public broadcaster to defocused. And as far as we are concerned, the public broadcaster must make sure that it remains independent, it remains making sure that the public gets proper news. This is what the public broadcast is all about. But what we have now is politicians, and in particular, the 2017 factional battle, which now contributes to the crisis which they deemed at the SABC as far as we are concerned. I think I want to raise those issues in that context. Thank you very much.
All right, okay. And because we're running out of time, what I'd like to do is get your final thoughts, 30 seconds each. If you could just kind of pick on what's been said and also what we've been hearing from the viewers. They said, look, Treasury has been captured by a family and their influence. Okay, in fact, we've been given a little bit more time. But perhaps if you could just address those, but also the thoughts that have been coming through from Simpiwe in the studio, as in tweets that have come through. They've said that the Treasury has been captured and it's being influenced by one family. This is what viewers are saying. So let's just get your thoughts, and then we've still got a bit more time. But let's start with you, Mr. In fact, let me start with you, Mr. Motsoeneng, because the SABC has been mentioned by Mr. Mervyn.
What we stand for SABC and what we are going to do unapologetic is to make sure that we empower our own black people. We make sure that when we talk about transformation, they can feel it, they can touch it. And when we talk about the Constitution of the South Africa, we must make sure that all 11 languages are catered for. That is what we call a constitution. Because we are just talking, it's nice to talk, because people, when they produce a paper, they believe is outcome and is value. For us, it is not a value until people can feel it and touch it. I think the young man was asking a very important question about the small recording companies. This is what we want in South Africa. We want to make sure that we empower them, because all these big companies, they have been benefiting. I'm not going to mention their names, but we want black people to occupy that space, to have recording companies, so that we as SABC, we can invest in those companies. Let me give you an example. 2 weeks back, security guards at the SABC, because they are also lobbied by the best lobbyists outside the SABC, some of them which are politicians, they went on strike. And I asked them one question, okay, why are you fighting? They said it is because the environment is not conducive. I said to them, who are you working for? A certain security company. I said, why can't you form your own company? You as workers. And we as SABC, instead of going on tender, we invest in you. We empower you, so that you as security guards, and from nowhere, you own a company. What we need to do is to make sure that we assist you, you get the best CFO, so that he can run your finances. But SABC, we co-opt you, because we know that people in South Africa, they don't need labor brokers. You own your own company as the workers. It will be the first move at the SABC and in this country, and we are going to make sure that we do that.
Okay.
Go into the cleaners. We have all these cleaners at the SABC. But who they work for? They work for big companies. We are saying, actually, we need to produce them as business people, as cleaners. They themselves, they should own their company, and SABC should invest the money in those cleaners so that they own their own companies.
Okay.
That is what we call empowerment. And we are not apologetic. And let me deal with governance. Who said when we follow process, we are not corrupt? Because people follow process, but they still do corruption in that fairness process. Following governance, does it mean that there is no corruption? Because you still do what you need to do. Example, for me, I did that, but it was not corruption.
Okay. All right.
No, I want to demonstrate this.
Yeah.
I did the same thing, because I was looking just to appoint women. They said to me, no, Mr. Muswening, HR, Musewu is there. You need to follow process, it is discrimination. I said, but the law of this country said gender equity. You see, you need women in this senior position. They said, yes, but it will be discrimination when you don't advertise this post. I said, okay, let us advertise. Men and women applied. What I did, I appointed 8 women on senior position, all of them same time. So which means I did achieve what I need to achieve. So what I'm saying in short, in this country we lack leaders. Some of them, they are leaders because of lotto, jackpot. You know, when you are on lotto. They are not real leaders. We need people who have guts, people who die for what they believe, people who listen to their conscience. And I want to say, we as SABC, when we talk about that inquiry that the portfolio committee is talking about, we are prepared to fight, because actually, those people, they are fighting South Africans, because they realize that we as SABC, we are transforming the country. I'm shocked that some of the ANC, they have joined. You know, when actually they should support this transformation that SABC is keeping. Because they want to capture SABC, they don't want Cloudy, because they know in Cloudy is independent, and Cloudy will do the right thing. The chairperson of the board, they are saying he's blind. He's a very wise man, and he can see beyond the future. So, and we are saying the current 3 board members, they should stay there at the SABC. They should not even think of resigning, so that we fix the SABC and change the process of portfolio committee to appoint. Let us have the shareholder have an independent body to appoint people who should represent SABC. And if you check the board itself, the way it has been appointed, it doesn't represent the community.
All right. So what you're saying, the minister should appoint the board?
The minister should recommend to the president for the
Who should be on the
appointment
board?
of the board
Okay.
members, like other SOEs.
Okay.
Because when it suits certain board members, they report to portfolio committee. When it doesn't suit them, they report to the shareholder. It depends where the wind goes.
Okay.
So
All right.
what I'm saying in short, the SABC board should have traditional leaders inside the SABC board. They should have churches inside the board. They should have artists inside the board. They should have someone from workers representing, because that board is not reflecting the South Africans. The reason why SABC sometimes they can't do well is because that board itself. And sometimes you appoint people who are not even working. They go at the SABC, they fight with management because they want to work. Some of them, they want even to apply when they're still board members. Some people, let me tell you an example. You have people who are working for certain politicians, but they are board members. It can't be right.
Okay.
And South Africans, we need to leave politics. I always pray. If I was the president of the country, I will appoint people even from different political parties, as long as they can change South Africans, they can empower black South Africa.
Okay. We're going to carry on with this conversation. I just need to say goodbye to our SABC2 viewers. This conversation will carry on channel 404. To those of you on SABC2, have a fabulous day. Enjoy the amazing programming that's coming through to you for the rest of the day. We'll carry on with our conversation now, though, on channel 404 on DSTV. And Mr. Aguma, I want to turn to you. You're down to 3 board members now. And that is a very, very serious thing. Have you been captured by Claudio Mutsoneng?
No, I don't think I've been captured. I think we just have a common vision, because what the current board has implemented, and by the way, I may mention that from 2013, probably this has been the most stable board, because I took the liberty of going and reading about the boards from 2009 and so on, and it was a bit chaotic. Not a bit, seriously chaotic. But the issue here is that this board has been the most stable, and we have developed an action plan, or if you want a corporate plan, together as EXCO and the board, that we have consistently worked in implementing. I would also mention that probably you would notice that the 3 members of the board the remaining ones is being created as a crisis. But if you go to section 66, paragraph 11 of the Companies Act, it says even though you don't have the number of board members as implemented by, under that act or the MOI, it doesn't invalidate their decisions. So for me, I think the board can still continue. The crises that are at the SABC are manufactured, as far as I'm concerned. Because look at 2013, we had a disclaimer with 9 qualification paragraphs. Right now, we have 1 qualification paragraph from the AG. It's an improvement. Financial management is better. People saying, no, but the SABC is broke. We're saying, but if you talk about a company being incapable of paying its debt, it must have more liabilities than assets. But our latest financial reports, which are audited, say that we have 2.7 billion of more assets than liabilities. We closed the year 2016 with 881 million in cash. We have a current ratio, that is current assets over current liabilities, of 1.7, meaning that we have 1.7 rands to pay 1 rand of liabilities. No employee is not paid, no supplier is not paid. And we're saying, where is the crisis? Where is the crisis? Is the crisis not manufactured? So we are just saying that we are going to navigate past the noise. But navigate past the noise, but we are going to deliver the mandate of the SABC. And something that we're not going to negotiate is transformation. Supply. I'm focusing specifically on procurement. Procurement of information technology, and content has not been transformed. I can tell you that. It hasn't been transformed, and we are going to do that. I think it was last year. Somebody walks into my office and tells me, there's a young man here who wants to build kitchenettes, small kitchenettes. And the young man walks to me and tells me, look, I need 28,000 rands to deliver on a contract of 58,000 rands. By the way, we're 8 billion rand company. And I don't have the money. I tell him, you know what, just put your requirements in writing, and the SABC will lend you 28,000 rands. You will not believe that part of the staff members were saying, no, but there's a risk. What about if he runs away with 20? I said, but this is a black man who needs to deliver 58,000 rands. Give him the 28,000. If he runs away, I will pay it from my wallet. I signed it, knowing that if he ran away, I would get it out of my pocket and pay for it. He delivered the content. He's now on the database. Second case is a gentleman of Fresh Water in Heidelberg. 6 employees. He could not supply water to the SABC. And we are buying, a lot of these brands. When they came to me, I looked at it. I said, how many people? 8. I've been to Heidelberg. I said, you are going to buy water from this person for 6 months. Exclusively for me. There were complaints from within, and Mr. Manyi here is saying that people are captured. Capturing is not about your body being taken and locked somewhere. It's about your mind. You may be free in body, but your mind is captured. So I said, you will bring this gentleman and we shall supply his water. And on top of that, organize a trip. I want to go to that factory to see. I don't know him from anybody, but it's just the right thing to do. Because 6 people who are working there, if we just gave him a contract for 6 months or so, he could absorb 30 people from the street who are playing dice. You see, when I talk about capturing of minds, people need to link the circumstances in the country: unemployment, poverty, and inequality. People say there's a lot of crime, but there's crime. Well, I don't even know whether it's a lot. There is crime because you're not giving opportunity to people to work. You're in power or in places of authority, but you can't make decisions. So these are just examples where executives need to make decisions with the understanding that there are problems: unemployment, poverty, and inequality. Whatever it takes to put a dent in that, take it without fear or favor. We cannot allow our minds to be captured.
Okay, we definitely have run out of time, so I'm going to start with you, Mr. Mkutama, your last thoughts in literally 30 seconds each. Miso Jikijela says, please can you ask the BLF guy if he's been funded by the Guptas? Respond to him, and your final thoughts, please, on this issue.
Yeah, no, we're not being funded by the Guptas. A lot of people in social media talks about 100 million, and I saw 3 million and 70 million. If they know where that money is, please, they must talk to me, because we want money. Right now, we just ask South Africans to give us a little bit of money, and we're very grateful they do so, and we continue to ask them to support our movement. Because at this point, I can say with confidence, we are the only black revolutionary movement which is clear about the fact that this country belongs to us. It must be returned to us as black people, as a black majority, and we must benefit from the wealth which is in this country. Because right now, that's not happening. And I'm glad there's consensus in the panel about the fundamental question. The fundamental question is, our country is still under white rule. And our constitution, and this is the big debate we must have, still gives legitimacy to colonialism and to apartheid. Our own constitution, the 1994 constitution, gives power to white people. That is why Section 25 of that constitution says, if you want land as black people, you must go buy it. We must stop that. We can't buy back our land because it was stolen from us.
Okay. Mr. Motsoaledi, your final thoughts? Bearing in mind that Katlego Oliver says that all of these panelists suffer from the same disease called zoomatitis. Your final thoughts.
You see, I don't want to get involved in politics, and I don't want to be a politician. I want to do what I'm supposed to do for South Africans. My role is to empower people, and I'm going to do that. And also, I'm saying to our own artists, you have played a very important role in this country. When you talk about democracy, you can't talk without referring to musicians.
Okay.
But when you check our country, you see that is where the problem is. I mean, I grew up admiring many of them, including the actors, those who are acting on television. When I took over, I saw poverty on them. And I don't believe that. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I saw poverty when just see on these people. When I introduced that 90% was because I saw poverty on them.
Right.
I said I can't allow South Africans to have poverty. When I saw actors at the SABC acting, admiring them, when I was in the Free State, when I was in charge, when I talked to them, I realized they don't even have houses where they stay. They don't even have cars. But when you look them on television, they look very nice and attractive. But in reality, in life, they are poor. So I said that is not going to happen in our lifetimes.
Okay. Run out of time, unfortunately, Mr. Musoni. Mr. Mani, your final thoughts, and just bearing in mind some of the comments, people are convinced that the Guptas are trying to capture Treasury. If you could just very briefly, 20 seconds.
Yeah, look, I think Treasury is captured is not funny. Treasury is so captured that, for instance, why did it take 10 years for Treasury to even pronounce that a triple PFA must be repealed, a law that continues to disempower black people?
I'm being told that we've run out of time, unfortunately, so we're going to have to leave it there. It's a pity because we had so much still to talk about, but it's one of those conversations you're going to have to continue to have, and I'm sure on Twitter it will continue. But from us, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Thank you for your contributions. Have a great day, everybody. See you again next time. Bye-bye.